undersea as well, a USO or whatever.
So when you say they're catching them underseas, how are they?
Optically or through our sensor systems undersea, we're able to track them and sonar.
Is there any video of a thing?
Nothing public yet that I know of, but I am hyper aware of footage, sonar-based evidence undersea. If you noticed in the congressional hearings on UFOs, first time in 50 fucking years, by the way, when they brought that up, the undersea thing, they said closed session. Couldn't say it fast enough. Like, we're not going to talk about that public session.
Really?
Yeah, because we have great fucking sensors under the ocean.
So
defense sensors.
You think that there's something that can, what is it called, a transmedium device?
That's right, transmedium, man. We talked about that years ago. Yep.
And so this is something that can fly through space and it also can go through the ocean.
All domain.
So if this thing is manipulating, like what Bob Lazar described was something that essentially bent space and time around it moved in that manner. Instead of being pushed by a force like a rocket, this thing
or roller skates.
Yeah, this thing is grabbing a hold of space and time and pulling itself towards whatever destination it wants to go to.
Yeah, and that was the thing that really flipped my script, is the idea of, like, when I heard him say that when I was a kid, instead of pushing to get somewhere. Because, look, the argument has been, of course there's life out in the universe. I mean, look at the fucking Webb, photograph. Of course there's got to be life homogeneously out there, but they're never coming here. That was the Einsteinian thought, right? We can't travel faster than the speed of light.
Right.
Okay, well, that's like saying, okay, well, I got a horse, but can you imagine, one of Elon's rockets? Maybe you can't imagine that, right? But this idea that you could fall in time and space, distance becomes irrelevant. Medium becomes irrelevant. That's where the transmedium craft, they believe, the people researching this within our government, believe that these craft are gravity propelled. That's why there's the new programs called all domain, because it's space, air, and sea. And in the congressional language for the UFO whistleblower stuff that's going on, where people can come forward, it's going to be set into law. They've already written it. The language is amazing. People are going to be able to come forward and talk about how they worked on legacy UFO programs, like reverse engineering programs.
So when you say people are going to be able to, meaning the government is going to drop the restrictions that people were former employees?
I feel like I'm doing a horrible job of getting people up to date with what's happening in the UFO, because so much has happened. It's like overwhelming, but yes.
It's okay.
So what's happened is, if we follow the steps, all of a sudden, George and I, we release all this content, people go kind of crazy over it. Then they put out this preliminary report and say we had 143 cases and we solved, one of them. And these are like military cases where there's like extraordinary movements with these craft. Then all of a sudden Congress is like, well, shit, we had OSAP, we had ATIP, who's studying this? Let's get a hold of it. And they got real interested. So they started saying, hey, we need to start a program. Then the Department of Defense came up with some crazy ass acronym names that nobody could ever make out, AIMSOG and shit like that. And Congress got even more pissed, as the way I read it. I mean, I know some of the people involved, and their minds have been blown by what they've seen in these classified briefings. It changed their whole way of thought. And they realized that there are programs being hidden, illegal programs, being hidden from congressional oversight related to UFOs. So their language now, it wasn't created in a void. When you read in the National Defense Authorization Act for 2023, UAP, it is UFO whistleblower language. If you've ever signed an NDA relating to one of these illegal programs without oversight dealing with UFOs, not only can you come forward, but they have changed it so that if there's any reprisal on you for coming forward, like let's say you work at Lockheed and you've been tinkering with some fucking UFO, and there's any reprisal on you, you have ways to defend yourself. Like they took away the cap of $300,000 of what has to be awarded to you if there's reprisal. Holy shit! All of a sudden, and I know why, because I know some of the people involved in this. They're going to let people. They're demanding that if you have this information, you can ignore your NDAs. And I know people.
So let's get into this.
Yeah.
So what is happening here? Yeah. So is it Congress does not have access to the information because the Pentagon has deals with these military contractors and they don't want to release the information to Congress? Like, why is there this dispute of information?